Hello everybody, welcome back, and just a garage update for the week. Not a whole lot going on in the world of getting things done on the cars, but little by little things start happening, and it's kind of what this little catch-up video is all about. So I am predominantly working on my coupe today, trying to solve the oil burning issue and the melted spark plug on number 8. So what I did is we're trying to delete the PCV system. So usually there's usually more to it. This big grommet that goes in the back of the intake manifold, and then the PCV valve sits in that, and your lines run all over the place. Well, I took all that out, and I bought one of these little plugs. It's 1 1/8 inches, EPC25, I think is the part number it says on there. And this is what I saw on the internet other people try to get done. But one thing they don't tell you is that even though this is a plug for it, it slides in. It doesn't tap in like a regular core plug does. So I roughed up the edges, and I put a lot of RTV around it and sealed it into the back of the intake. So I'm hoping that's enough to plug it off. I would have liked to have got different valve covers and got breathers coming off of both sides. But right now I just pulled the breather off of the passenger side valve cover into the catch can. And we're going to give that a go. I mean, it can't be much worse than just sucking the oil through, because I had a bunch of rags. I was wiping it out and spraying some things out, cleaning it up, and making a time of it. Got new plugs in, gap to 25 thousandths. So the plugs are done. I just got to get the intake manifold back on. So with my attempt to delete the vacuum line, the big fat vacuum line that goes to the PCV valve hoses, I'll bring it over here. So this was the big hose that was plugged into to this plug in the bottom of the intake. Well, I was underneath there trying desperately not to have to pull the intake, and I was at the back pulling on this hose and twisting it, trying to get it to come off, and the whole tube slid out of the casting, still stuck to the end of the hose. So even though I tried my hardest not to have to pull the intake, I had to pull the intake just to fix this problem. So I didn't want to just tap this back in and have it possibly come out again at a later date. So I used a little tap and a plug. So I'm never going to have to worry about that part again. So this is going to go to the brake booster. This goes to the fuel pressure regulator. This was just capped off, and I took the fitting out here that I had teed into that, and I just kept it off with a plug, sprayed it all out, get all the oil out of the intake. And man, I was surprised. This was a clean jar, but there's a lot of sediment in there that ended up coming out. So I was blowing it out with a compressed air, draining it out of the hole, and got all the oil back out. So this thing is ready to go back on, except I decided to delete, the EGR valve. This is an NOS EGR valve that I had on here just to make it all look original, super original. I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm not really trying to kid anybody anymore. You know, when you see all the turbo piping and all the non-stock stuff, and this wasn't doing anything anyway. I just decided to save the 1.5 to 2 pounds of weight. I already had a block off plate, so I stuck that on there, and that's another change that we're gonna make. So, and third thing on the coupe. So I am getting ready to change over a lot of the vacuum lines and things, going from the scroll outlet on the turbo down to the wastegate and over to the boost control valve, which I'm gonna be mounting over here. I just have this rag here just so the intake tube doesn't get scratched getting bounced around, but I'm gonna be mounting this 4-port Mac valve over here. And the lines that are gonna go to it are these like nylon push locks. So you get down here, you turn on a light here. So all you gotta do is you push it in there, and it locks in place. And these are a lot more rigid and non-compressible than regular rubber vacuum lines, so that's kind of why I want to use them, for better flow. So when you push on those little fittings, and you can slide it back out. So they're a lot nicer than just a regular rubber hose with a push lock barb. One line from here is going to go over to the Mac valve, and there's going to share time over there to the wastegate. So I got to figure out the plumbing here. I did get a dome pressure sensor, which I'm going to plumb and wire in. Same thing when I wire in the Mac valve. I did wire in the old 3-port Mac valve, so I just got to tap back into that and run some additional wires. But this is an endeavor that I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I got to make the strides, because if I want to up the boost a little bit, this is what I got to do. I don't want to do one of those click knobs, because I do want to progress the boost, with throttle position and RPM. I just don't want all the boost to come in at half throttle, and things could kind of get uncontrollable like that. So I want to be a little scientific about it. And once I get it all installed and I get it scienced out, working good, then I'll bring you guys back for another dedicated boost control update with the Terminator, because there's lots of them out there, but none of them are really any Ford specific, and the things that I want to know about, nobody talks about. So that'll be coming up in the future. So yeah, I'm surprised, you can get into the 10s with a tiny little air filter like that. So you can see little 61 76 turbo getting it done. So but that's about the car. The other updates, I did get some parts in from Summit, and I got some main bearings, rod bearings for the 302 project. Still waiting on valves. I had to do something different. I had to cancel the valves through Summit, order them from somebody else, because Summit was just kicking the can down the road with back orders, and I just wasn't willing to wait till August, September, by the time I would think they would even get them to ship them. So, and this thing. All right, guys. So this is a torque plate. I ordered this for building up this short block, or this engine, because if you go and get a block board honed over here in the UK, they do not have torque plates here for engines, American engines. I mean, if you want a good bore, you have to use the torque plate, because when you tighten up the head to the block, there's a little bit of distortion, and it does knock the holes out of round no matter how hard you try. So you're going to have some extra blow-by, and it behooves you to spend the extra $50 in the States to get it bored and honed using a torque plate, because you'll have less blow-by, you'll have more cranking compression, and your engine will just last longer. And there's just no downside to not using a torque plate when you build an engine. So I wanted to be able to build a better engine here in the UK than anybody else can, and in order to do that, I needed to get a torque plate. I mean, I've seen race teams and stuff, build engines, and they don't even use torque plates over here. They just throw money at a problem, just like those SVO heads. They just throw money at it, and then monkeys put it together, and they just don't know what they're doing. So, this is not cheap, to buy this just for my own use while I'm here in the UK, but I decided to do that. I did it on the 390, and it turned out phenomenally. The engine runs great, limited blow-by, and I want the same for the small blocks that I'm going to be building. So, order this from Summit. They had it in stock, no big deal. I get it here, and I wanted to just plop it on the engine quick and see what's going on. So, before I even do that, it locates the same way that a cylinder head does. It uses the dowels in the corners to locate the head, to get it on very precisely before you torque it down. And this is a dowel for a small block Ford head. So if I could wiggle this one out, but yeah, just take my word for it. This is a small block Ford head, and this is for a big block Ford head. So without even me doing anything else, I'm going to turn this thing around. You can kind of see what's going to happen here. And this is not locating correctly at all. I was supremely disappointed. You know, when I hooked this up and I found it all loose, because if you go into the board, it's smooth to the top, but there's just a huge ridge at the bottom. You're not going to give this to a shop, and they're not going to sit here and fidget this out and do all this kind of stuff before they tighten the bolts down and everything else. You know, it just goes on and you tighten it, and that's it. It's supposed to be located properly. So go around the back here. So if you can see, here's the big block dowel. So if it's nice, very minimal movement. But you get the small block dowel. So yeah, $330 for something that's not machined correctly. So what I did is I called up the manufacturer. They pulled one off the shelf and he measured it, and it measures the exact same as what this one is machined to for these holes. So I let it go a day. He said he would email me back once he talked to his machines, his engineers and stuff. Called him back the next day, even though he never emailed me back. And he said, oh, they're looking for a small block Ford to mount this on so they can check. So I don't know what the company does. It seems like they're very LS-centric, like a lot of places are anymore. They just decided to make a bunch of these. I'm hoping they come through with a solution. I mean, a lot of times a shop will just, if they get this problem, they will machine up a spacer, a sleeve, so they can drop this in. If they have a lathe, they have the means to do it. They do it once and it's done. I'm not a machine shop. I don't have a lathe here in the UK. I assumed I would just buy this and just use it. And I'm just supremely, supremely disappointed in that. So I'm on hold waiting for a reply back from this company before I can do anything. So, because the pistons are on their way, the rings are on their way. Once they get here, this block can go to the shop and start getting worked. So the more I get parts in, the more delays keep creeping up. So I still haven't found a place to move to yet. The market is terrible here in the summertime. Lots of people coming and going in the area that I'm in, and the market is just not there for what I need. 2-car garage with pets. You would think that's in the States, that's the norm. That's everywhere, but not here in the UK. It's very difficult to get the space that that we're used to and need to continue on doing the stuff that I want to do and live how I want to live over here. So, but yeah, parts. One last thing. This is the thing that I was alluding to in another video. I ended up buying a cluster off of another guy. And the thing to note about this, little words right at the bottom there, says certified calibration. So there was a guy looking for a tachometer, and he didn't end up buying this cluster, and he showed the picture of the cluster on a forum over here, and it was very, very dirty. He cleaned dusted off the spot where the tachometer was to show him it was a V8 tachometer. And I noticed a little blurry thing right down there below the odometer numbers. Either it's going to be certified calibration or Ford Motorsport were the two 140 mile an hour options back in the day. Because the one I have in my car doesn't have anything, but I think it was an over-the-counter Ford Motorsport part. But yeah, so certified calibration means SSP if you know anything about it. One thing to note is if the way they calibrate the speedometers is usually 30 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, and 100 miles an hour. But I guess the swing is different for the certified calibration, because if you look, you can see the two little dots. Those are the calibration error marks around the 20, around the 60, and around the 120. So if I bring you over to my coupe, not much I could do this without getting a big glare, but around the 20, you can see the dots are spaced out much further than on the SSP speedometer. And the 60, they're spaced out further, and the 120, they're definitely spaced out further. So the certified calibration odometer definitely has a tighter calibration than any factory one does. What it really means, not a whole lot, but still, I think it'd be cool to just have an SSP odometer head in the car instead of that one, and who knows what. Maybe you can put that one back together, sell it to somebody, and you know, make my money back. So other than that, that is the parts and garage update. So things are happening. Next Wednesday, Pete and John are both going to drive their cars up here to the house. So you know, warm summertime days, and maybe we'll get up to something when they show up. But until then, thanks for sticking with me, guys. Subscriptions or subscribers are catching up, which is kind of interesting. Over 600 and something now, and yeah, it's kind of neat. I'm gonna keep doing it until it's not fun anymore. And I'll see you guys soon in another video.